What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Chris Pennell here. We are mock drafting today from the 6th hole for a 12-team PPR league. I know it's pretty early August and most of you aren't drafting, at least probably till around September rolls around, which is what I'm doing. Personally, I wait as long as possible because we don't want our star players with one knee, one ankle, one arm heading into September. You don't want to draft early because you don't want to stumble into your friend's living room on Saturday night, Sunday night, whenever you're drafting, and looking at the board for the first time, thinking, who the hell am I supposed to take? And I'll be honest right now, I hate the 6th pick. I think there's a clear top 5. For me personally, that's Jamar Chase, number 1, Bijan Robinson, number 2, number 3 is Jahmyr Gibbs, number 4, Saquon Barkley, number 5 is Justin Jefferson. I would love CeeDee Lamb here. I am not the biggest fan of Amon-Ra St. Brown this season, so we'll have to see what the fantasy gods give me. I am not going against real people currently. We are going to be looking at just what the robots, the AI, the sleeper AI bots happen to like. But let's start this draft here. And praise be, they gifted us with Jahmyr Gibbs. He's my RB3 in the season. I think he's firmly a top 5 pick this year. I know he's in a bit of a timeshare with David Montgomery, but I think we see him separate himself from Montgomery a bit this season, at least more. And this is a PPR league, and we get the reception upside with Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's got all the upside in the world. It's a team that can put up a lot of points. We saw that last season. I love Jahmyr Gibbs this season. In the tier rankings, I had him right there in the S tier with Bijan and Saquon Barkley, and everybody else that is left is currently in an A tier for me. So I'm going to take the last guy in my S tier personally, and I am more than happy with taking Jahmyr Gibbs. And back on the clock here, let's see what the AI happen to go with. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is fine at 7. Like I said, though, I'm not the hugest on him this season. Puka Nacua, even with Devontae Adams in, he's firmly going to be the wide receiver 1 in that offense. As long as Matthew Stafford is healthy, Puka should be an elite fantasy asset. The only issue is, you know, Stafford is getting older these days, and if he happens to go down, these Los Angeles Rams are also coming down straight with him. Our first rookie off the board with Aston Gentry in the first round. That's no surprise there. Derrick Henry, PPR scoring, I'm never too excited about it. The issue is, he'll just get his 1,500, 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, and then it doesn't matter anyway. But man, for me, I just never land on him. And then when I play against him, it sucks because he puts up 30 fantasy points versus me. Nico Collins, no Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs. He is just a clear-cut number 1 target for CJ Stroud. And while the Texans offense isn't like something that everyone's excited to get pieces of, I do think he's fair just because of the volume. The floor is going to be high, and certain times we know the ceiling can be high too. Devon Chan, I love in PPR. I would have took a Chan personally as my RB4 in PPR scoring. So I think that's pretty good, getting him at the 112 there. Paired with my league neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., I like that double wide receiver. For me personally, the past couple of seasons, I've been in the championship in this personal league that I'm practice drafting for here. And I have gone wide receiver heavy the past 2 seasons. Now, whether that's been just because I've been able to nail the running backs deeper in the drafts, or just the elite wide receivers can win you weeks. Like last season, I went Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, Puka Nacua with my first few picks. Was able to get Bucky Irving late in the draft. I got Chuba Hubbard very late as well. So things went well. Now, being able to replicate that every single year, that's difficult to do, but we'll see what happens here. But we're back on the clock here for my 2nd round pick, and we have quite a few good options. And actually, I'm kind of glad we have a couple of elite quarterbacks still here, because at some point, people are going to take a quarterback. They're going to talk about it. I usually wait at the quarterback position. I just really value depth at the running back and wide receiver position, because as the season progresses, guys are going to go down. It happens every single year. We don't know who it's going to be. It could be anybody. It could be 10 of the first 12 picks. That's certainly possible. But AJ Brown is not someone I am in on. I'm pretty low on him on my rankings compared to where ADP is. He's good. He's a fantastic talent at the wide receiver position. The only issue is Philly just does not throw the football. He has to rely on efficiency, which he has been able to do, but it's really annoying owning Eagles pass catching options, because their first, second, third, and fourth choice is to run the football with either Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley. You're going to get some big plays with AJ Brown. You might get 6-7 targets, and they might be all chunkers, and he might get into the end zone. He can win you weeks, but I'm still pretty low on AJ, so I'm going to pass on him here. We do have our choice of Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I like Lamar Jackson personally over Josh Allen. Last season, he had 0 bust games, 11 elite games. Compared to Josh Allen, he did best 3 times and still had a lot of elite games, not quite up to Lamar Jackson's pedigree. I like both. I like Josh Jacobs. He feels a bit boring to me, but we already have an RB1 locked up. So I kind of want to lean towards the wide receiver position. I love Ladd, especially in PPR scoring. He's going to get peppered with targets from Justin Herbert. We do have T. Higgins, Chase Brown. I love Chase Brown this year. If by some miracle he can make it back to us in the 3rd round, I highly doubt that's going to be the case. But right now, I like Ladd, but since I always go wide receiver heavy, I am kind of curious to see what a double RB build to start. And I want to get a piece of this Bengals offense. I'm not going to go with T. Higgins here. The issue is he doesn't stay healthy. He's great on a PPR base, points per game basis, but we do know he's probably going to miss some time. So let's go with Chase Brown here. I actually do like that pick. Going double stud running back. Both guys have real good upside in PPR. The floors are going to be high. The ceilings are going to be high. And we have pieces from 2 of the best offenses in the league. They're going to put up a ton of points, Detroit and Cincinnati. So I love that. All right, we're back on the clock. And it looks like we lost the 2 S-tier quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Jaden Daniels is another fine option as well. And I'm glad they went. And Trey McBride, which I wouldn't be against taking Trey McBride here. But since we lost 3 quarterbacks and a tight end, that means running backs, wide receivers did fall to me. And I am seeing 2 pretty good options here with Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins. Garrett Wilson is there. Breece Hall, which I'm not a huge fan of Breece Hall this season. Terry McLaurin contract situation. I'm assuming he's going to re-sign with Washington. Let's hope he does. But as of right now, that is a bit of a question mark. I have 2 running backs. I'm not going to go with another running back here. So Breece Hall, James Cook, that's off the list for me. I am not going with any quarterback at this point. Those guys are all gone. I don't see a tight end that I'd want to take. George Kittle is the last of the S-tier tight ends, but this is way too early for him. McBride and Bowers are the ones I would really want to draft super early. And I don't want to double up on a Bengal right now, especially one that can always be iffy on playing time. So I think Tyreek Hill does make the most sense, which is the obvious. He's got the lowest ADP at this point, but I think we're going to get a bounce back season on Tyreek Hill. I know last year was dreadful, especially for where you drafted him last season. Week 1 looked like it was going to be awesome. He gets arrested right before the game. He comes out, 12 targets, 7 catches, 120, 130 yards, and got into the end zone on a big play. After that, it got really bad. 6, 7, 8. I know Tua did miss some time, which is obviously going to hurt your production. We did have a couple good games in the later portion of the season. 20 points versus Green Bay, 28 versus the New York Jets. But he was not a consistent player by any means. So we know the upside. And I'm assuming he's going to bounce back. I know he's getting up there in age. He's 31 at this point, but he's still a burner. The speed is still there. Without having a wide receiver at this point, I don't mind having Tyreek be my wide receiver 1 in the 3rd round. I think that's perfectly fine. And I think this is a great start. We got a really nice beefy core here with Jahmyr Gibbs and Chase Brown. Those are 2 of the most safe running backs you can get on the board. And then Tyreek Hill, maybe more of a question mark from last season, but I am still fine with it. So the guy beside me now has 4 wide receivers, and that's usually what I look like. I absolutely load up the wide receiver positions. I'm a little bit jealous because I love it. St. Brown, London, Garrett Wilson. It's a pretty interesting build. George Kittle is gone, so the S-tier tight ends, in my opinion, are completely wiped out. So I think we could probably start waiting a bit unless we see one that pops up at a good value. Jalen Hurts is gone as well. So we have lost the top 5 quarterbacks, the top 3 tight ends. Rashee Rice went already, despite the looming suspension news, which of course these are robots. They don't really care. So we're on the clock. Old man Alvin Kamara on a bad team. I usually like having Kamara. The floor is nice, and he would honestly kind of fit the build of the running backs we already have on our team. Of Chase Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, real nice PPR backs with solid floors. I am a little concerned about this potential ceiling over New Orleans this season. I just don't think they're going to put up that many points this year. But we have a lot of running backs. Omar and Hampton, the rookie, Najee Harris, his eye issue is getting better. We'll have to see how that goes. I assume it's going to be a bit of a split. It could be very annoying, but maybe one will be able to take over in camp. I would like it to be Hampton. He's definitely getting drafted like he's going to be the guy, and we know he's got better talent at this point. The slow, very slow locomotive of Najee Harris. Kenneth Walker is always injured. Chuba Hubbard, really good if we want to go real heavy on the running back position early. I mean, we could just lock in 2. This is a 2 flex league, 2 wide receiver. And just looking at ADP here, I think we might just need to take a running back because after like Chuba Hubbard, I think we start falling off a cliff a bit. I don't mind James Conner, but there's some other flyers we can get later in the draft. But if we look at wide receiver, I am fine with like any of this group here to be my wide receiver 2. I love Ted McMillan this season. I'm not super high on DJ Moore or DK Metcalf, so I don't really want to take them right here. I guess I'll just take whichever one ends up coming back to us. So I'm just going to take Alvin Kamara. It's the safe play for PPR. I know the offense is not going to be great, but they really might not have any choice from these quarterbacks just to dump it off to Alvin Kamara, feed him the ball, and let's just hope he stumbles his way into the end zone a few times. So after that, yeah, like I said, I think we're going to start falling off a cliff with the running backs. Chuba Hubbard's gone. Kenneth Walker is gone. Bit of a wide receiver run there, unfortunately. Omari and Hampton's gone. I would have really liked Xavier Worthy, but I still think we're in a pretty good spot here. I am not going to take a fourth running back before I take my second wide receiver. So we're left with Jameson Williams, George Pickens, Travis Hunter, McMillan here. I absolutely love this group. So I'm pretty happy that we did end up waiting. We solidified our third running back, which having 3 good running backs is a blessing. I mean, because at the end part of the season, you are going to need this depth. It definitely gets more premium than the wide receiver position, which you can usually find some flyers on a week-to-week basis if you need to. I already have a Detroit Lions, so I'm not going to try to double stack my team, although I'm not against it. It's just not something I want to do personally right now. So for me, it's between George Pickens and McMillan. I am really high on McMillan this season. I really do like it. George Pickens, he's the wide receiver 2 on his own team, but I do think the Dallas passing attack is going to be on all cylinders this season. The run game looks putrid. Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. The defense is probably not going to be very good this year. I'm assuming Micah Parsons does end up in Dallas still, but he did request a trade. You never know if he's off the team. The defense gets even worse. It's real tough. I would love to have both of these guys on my team. Personally, right now, I'm going to go with George Pickens just because McMillan's still a bit of an unknown. We know Pickens has all the talent in the world. He's just a bit of a head case. But when he's not a head case and he's on the field, it's pretty good. And CeeDee Lamb's going to be keeping away some attention from him. So we're going to roll with George Pickens as a wide receiver 2. And I love the start that we have currently. 3 really good, safe, solid running backs. 2 of them with some real high ceilings. Tyreek Hill. I'm not sure what the floor is going to be with him, but we know the ceiling with Tyreek Hill when things are going his way. And then George Pickens is the wide receiver 2. Kind of like Tyreek Hill. We're not really 100% sure what we're going to get, but we know when things are going well, the upside is high. So the string of running backs went James Conner, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery. Looks like we have Jameson Williams, Travis Hunter, Ted McMillan. Fortunately, we cannot get. I would have loved to have him at wide receiver 3 in the team, but yeah, we're not going to be left with much now at this point. Patrick Mahomes went. Patrick Mahomes is someone I am just not drafting this season. He is a great real-life quarterback. We know that. But when it comes to fantasy purposes, he is just as average as it gets. He led all quarterbacks last year with 11 average games. He didn't really bust, but we didn't see those upper echelon games the guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels can have to offer you. So we have 2 wide receivers. We have 3 running backs. I feel pretty comfortable kind of just going wherever. This is the point where we kind of take a peek at the quarterback position, see who's left, see if I want to spend up a little bit for a guy, kind of start peeking at the tight end position, seeing who's left. I don't really feel like I need a TJ Hawkinson, a Travis Kelce. I'm fine with waiting down here. I think David Njoku, if we happen to get a good amount of Joe Flacco starts this year, could not an S tier tight end, but he could knock his way into the A tier in games that Joe Flacco does end up playing. It was a smaller sample size in 2023, but we're talking nearly 90 yards per game. He was getting to the end zone all the time. He was an elite fantasy asset. But for me, there's one quarterback. I would say 2. I really like Baker Mayfield. I really like Bo Nix. I love the Tampa Bay offense this season. It does not look like I'm going to have access to Bucky Irving, obviously, at this point, or Mike Evans. I might be able to get one of the cheaper wide receivers, like Ibuka, later in the draft. But Baker Mayfield, for me, I want pieces of this offense, so I'm going to take him here with my 6th round pick, and I feel pretty good about that. I would have took Baker Mayfield over Patrick Mahomes, personally. So I really like getting him right there. All right, Chris Olave is gone. The 2 tight ends we kind of took a peek at. A couple of the rookie running backs, Judkins and Johnson, are gone. Some boring plays, and Tony Pollard. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Swift. We're back in the clock, and to be honest, this pick's pretty easy for me. It's Roma Dunze. I'm kind of surprised he's still here at this point, but I do like this Bears offense to a degree. The only issue is there's just a lot of mouths to feed at this point. They brought in Loveland. Cole Kmet's still there. Luther Burden they drafted. They did cut out Keenan Allen, which is obviously going to open up some targets, but Dunze, DJ Moore, I think those are the safest bets for targets in this offense. Dunze did say his goal for the season is over 1,000 yards and double-digit receiving touchdowns. Not quite sure we're going to get there, but we know he's talented. They drafted him early for a reason, so I'm going to go with the Dunze. We now have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. We have our quarterback, a guy that had quite a bit of boom weeks last season. I don't know if he's going to quite replicate the massive amount of yards and touchdowns he had last season, which were all career highs. And he about doubled his season best rushing yards in a season, so we'll probably have to assume that comes down a bit, but there's so many weapons for Baker. Now, I could have took Chris Godwin. I'm going to err on the side of caution with him just because we don't exactly know how he's going to be coming off that injury. He could start the season on the pup as well. I think Ibuka is just the better pick overall, and I can get him much later in the draft. At some point, I might have to at least reach on him a little bit just so I can secure my stack with Baker. But I'm fine waiting a little bit. I think Roma Dunze is definitely the pick over Ibuka right there instead of just absolutely prioritizing the stack because he's still available on the board. Now, depending on who you are drafting with, you have to know your draft room. If you are drafting with Ohio State fans or guys listen to a ton of podcasts and read articles, I'm sure Ibuka is going to go much higher in those drafts, or Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, of course. That's something you have to keep in mind. So at this point, we've kind of gotten most of our needs. We do have a quarterback. Let's pull the roster here. We have a quarterback, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers. Our tight end spot does have a glaring hole there. We might need to take care of that right now. Kicker, defense, those are last picks for me. And honestly, I don't know if you guys ever do this, but there's some times where I just, after the draft is done, I have not picked the defense up. I have not gotten a kicker yet. I will take more skill position players. Depending on if your league allows you to do this, I'll make some pickups if needed. And then right before the season starts, I'll just pick up a random defense and a random kicker. I am not someone that drafts high defenses ever or kickers. Those are pretty random. You can't play the matchup game. Just trying to be one step ahead of the league, maybe kind of looking ahead in the future. Like who's got some good matchups coming up? You can get those cheap on Fab instead of having to pay a premium for a defense. That's kind of the thing I do. I go in with as many skill position players as possible, and then I will make my adjustments as needed before week 1. So let's see if we can take care of the tight end position, because I'm not really seeing anybody I love here. Jennings is actually pretty interesting. But David Njoku, I talked about him earlier. If we're going to get some Joe Flacco starts at the beginning of the season, which I'm assuming we are going to get, and even in general, I think David Njoku will be fine. But I love him with Joe Flacco. If we can pull up his game log here from 2023, you're going to see some of these Flacco starts. And man, oh man, were they good. 8 targets, 14 targets, 9, 8. Looking at the fantasy points scored, 27, 26, 16, 17. That'll put you in the upper echelon at the tight end position. I know he's getting older, but he's still below 30. And he was a first-round draft pick back in the day, for those of you that do remember. Now, when we do get a quarterback carousel, we have Sanders, Gabriel, Kenny Pickett. They just signed Tyler Huntley. Hopefully he does not see the football field. Although if you guys do remember, could be a plus because he loved the tight end position over in Baltimore. But yeah, I know Miami was a bit of a disaster. And we also have Sanders, who I do think at some point is going to be the quarterback of the future for the Cleveland Browns. Not sure if that'll be a good or bad thing, but he's going to get snaps at some point in a real game. But I think Njoku's the pick here. He's got upside. I don't think any of these other tight ends, maybe Loveland, maybe Warren. We know they're extremely talented, high draft picks, both in the top 15 in the NFL draft this season. But the rookies, you don't exactly know what we're getting out of them. Loveland, he's going to have to compete still with Cole Kmet. And Tyler Warren, he'll be the clear-cut tight end 1 on that offense. They have absolutely no talent at the tight end position. The only issue is right now, Anthony Richardson's this quarterback. That's usually not a great thing if you are a pass-catching option. But we're going to go with the Njoku here. I really like that. And that kind of fills all the holes in the team. Now we're just getting depth at this point. But we got Baker, Gibbs, Chase Brown, Tyreek Hill, George Pickens, Njoku, Alvin Kamara, Roma Dunze. I really like to start to that team. Now, at this point, like I said, we're looking at depth. Ibuka did not go yet. Jennings, Golden are the rookie that I am pretty interested in. It's just the only issue is the Green Bay receiving core and all the receiving options, even the tight ends. Complete carousel. So many mouths to feed in that offense, and I'm not in love with Jordan Love. And they want to run the football with Josh Jacobs as much as possible. It's another annoying thing. Let's make this selection here. There's a couple of guys that I want to come back to me after I make this pick. Unfortunately, I don't know if they're going to. It's at the wide receiver position. I like Ibuka. We talked about that. I almost feel like I should grab him here because I want the pairing with Baker Mayfield. And I also really like Jaden Higgins. I think he's got a lot of upside. He has a clear path as wide receiver 2 on that team. And we saw CJ Stroud can't support multiple wide receivers, and we know he's talented. So I'd be happy with either. I might take Cam Scatterboo here. I know he's getting some praise, getting some love on the interwebs. He's a popular player. Jordan Mason, not really too interested in Zach Charbonnet or Andre Stevenson, J.K. Dobbins. I think they're fine players. I shouldn't be having to bench my running backs outside of bye weeks, which looking at my bye weeks right now, they're pretty spread out. I mean, Gibbs is week 8, Chase Brown's week 10, Alvin Kamara is week 11, and my wide receivers are pretty spread out, so pretty much good to go on that. I kind of think there's a pretty bad drop-off at the running back position here, because once we get past, I would say probably these two, I'm just not really interested in any of these guys. I mean, I'll probably have to take one at some point. So I'm going to take him right now. We'll take Scotty, but we'll take the chance on the rookie, fresher legs. And at some point, he's gonna have to get a workload. I mean, Tyrone Tracy is there, of course, but I'm fine with taking the chance there. Unfortunately, Ibuka's gone, which I understand that was definitely a risk, but I wanted either him or Jaden Higgins. Like, I'm not gonna sacrifice something just to get a stack. This is not DFS. In DFS, yes, I would do that, but we still have Jaden Higgins, right? Yeah, Jaden Higgins is there. I think that's actually a perfect setup. So I got both the rookies there, Scottaboo and Jaden Higgins. I really like Jaden Higgins. I would take him most of the time when I can, late in the draft. I mean, we're getting CJ Stroud's wide receiver too. There's a lot of upside there. So Caleb Williams off the board. Kyle Pitts finally goes. Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferguson, and there goes a kicker, which taking a kicker at that point is absolutely insane. Right now, you have 3 bench pieces left, then a kicker and a defense. And I would say my running back room is a bit stronger than my wide receivers right now, so I don't mind taking just more stabs at high upside plays. And Troy Harris, second round pick out of Ole Miss, I think from Los Angeles, makes some sense there. So I know we have a guy in his second year in Odunze, and then 2 rookies here in Jaden Higgins and Trey Harris. But I like the upside. Now, I don't mind taking stabs on high upside players at this point. We could go with another with Burden, but we already have Rome Odunze. I don't think I want 2 Chicago pass catchers. Running back situation doesn't look much more appealing. I don't hate Rachaad White. I am very big on Bucky Irving, but unfortunately, Rachaad White still is on the field taking snaps away from Bucky Irving. If we're looking at snap share last season, even when Bucky Irving was starting to take over, 49%, 53%, 76, 51, 50. Like, he's still in the field. He's still going to be okay for PPR. I mean, 11, 8, 24, 14, 11. We're not drafting him as our RB2. We're not even drafting him as our RB3. I'm fine with him as our RB4 if we wanted to. And of course, if anything, God forbid, happens to Bucky Irving, Rachaad White definitely puts himself into that low end RB1, higher end RB2 range if he's going to get the majority of the snaps in this offense. Because Baker Mayfield's shown that he is not afraid to check it down to that position, and that's back in the day when Rachaad White was the starter. He was definitely very appealing for fantasy purposes. We have 3 picks left. I'm going to have to reserve the last 2 for the defense and kicker position, unfortunately. So I'm going to say we have our pick of the litter at either wide receiver or tight end here. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers, and I believe we have 1, 2, 5 running backs. So that puts us kind of right where I want to be. And for me, I don't mind just taking another flyer at the running back position. You cannot have too many running backs. They could drop like absolute flies in the NFL, so you have to be prepared for that. And I think Jerome Ford probably makes the most sense at this point. With Judkins having legal issues, I mean, Ford is pretty much we should view him as the starting running back for this team. And he was actually kind of efficient last season with the opportunities that he got. It's going to be him and Dylan Sampson, currently 4th round pick out of Tennessee. I mean, they're going to be splitting to a degree, but I think Jerome Ford is fine. He's got pass catching upside. We know that. I mean, that's how they used him when Nick Chubb was the main running back. So it's not like Dylan Sampson's going to just get all the receiving work and Jerome Ford's just going to be a plotter down there. He's only 25 too, so it's not like he's some old grizzly vet at this point that doesn't have his legs. So I don't mind Jerome Ford as a flyer for sure. I mean, you could have a guy that you kind of luck into 15 plus touches a week until the situation happens to get cleared, but you're not paying a premium for him either. I mean, this is our last pick of the draft, basically, until we just pick a random defense and kicker. So I do not hate at all where we are at. I'm just going to click the first defense that I see, the Minnesota Vikings. If you guys spend time and worrying about defense, I would seek help. It does not matter at the end of the day. We will figure it out on a week-to-week basis. It's going to be perfectly fine. And as for the kicker, I'm just going to take McPherson, this team that's going to score a lot of points. Might score a lot of touchdowns, but at least we'll be in scoring position often. And if I don't like them by week 3, guess what? We'll drop them and we'll figure it out next. So that's going to be the end of the draft, and I feel pretty good about this team. Obviously, is there improvements we could make? I'm sure there is, but just off the bat here, Baker Mayfield, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chase Brown, Tyreek Hill, George Pickens, David Njoku, Alvin Kamara, Dunze. I don't care about the kicker and defense. Scattaboo, Higgins, Trey Harris, nice little run there of rookies. Guys that I think have some high upside this season. Rachaad White, and then he's hiding, but we do have Jerome Ford down there at the bottom. And looking back at this draft, I'm not really sure there's any glaring mistakes that I really wish I had back. One of the picks I was probably the most uneasy about was Alvin Kamara. I think Chuba Hubbard would have been perfectly fine there, but I did like the PPR upside a little bit more with Alvin. If we did not go Kamara, we could have ended up getting a guy like Cortland Sutton, Devontae Smith, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf. But honestly, they don't really feel like priorities at that point. So I think we really beefed up our running back and wide receiver position pretty evenly. definitely going to be more heavy sided on the running back position as far as where our strong point is. And the weakness, obviously, there's a lot of question marks here. We have a lot of rookies as flyers. If one of our guys go down, Tyreek Hill's coming off a pretty terrible season from his ADP last season. George Pickens can be very up or down, but the new situation, and I think we're all kind of excited about it, but we don't know exactly what we're going to get. Same can be said for Ramadunze. So wide receiver position, I would say there's definitely some question marks. I feel really good about the quarterback. I think he's a solidified top 6, top 7 quarterback this season with top 5 QB upside on a weekly basis. And he's also in a division that is absolutely awful defensively. The Carolina Panthers were historically bad last year. The Saints aren't going to be any good. And we know the Falcons weren't very good versus the past last season either. And he gets to play all those guys twice every single season. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is not that great either, which is going to make the Buccaneers just keep playing at a pace where they're going to have to stay in games. With that being said, that's all for today's video. So if you enjoyed it, even if you didn't, make sure you like down below. Subscribe to the channel for brand new. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to talk about my mock, talk about your own mocks, or any glaring things that you see, be my guest, leave them down below. But I'm not going to fight you about it. Get over yourself. It's just a mock draft. But I wish you all the best, and I'll see y'all next time.